The time to invest in the future is now. The time to innovate is right now. The time to align yourself to the reality of the opportunities that are unfolding in this COVID economy. You need to focus on your future right now, because we live in a staggering period of time where there are so many trends coming together all at once that, magic is happening out there. The Futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual home broadcasting studio. And I'm launching a new series today all around the concept of innovation and what we need to do. And I'm actually going to have an interview with somebody who has transformed in the era of COVID-19, Santa Claus himself. That's going to come up in the later part of what we're going to do here. The timing couldn't be better. This is an actual live shot of my backyard in a suburb outside of Toronto, Canada. As the snow comes down, we're having a snowstorm. Winter is settling in, we ski, and it is absolutely fantastic. So what are we going to do here? Well, if you've been following me, you know I've been working hard to reinvent myself in my home broadcast studio. And obviously, I'm thinking about Christmas, and I'm thinking about the stories that we might be able to tell, and I'm thinking if there's something we might be able to do with Santa Claus in terms of the story of reinvention and transformation and how we can align ourselves to the future. So I went out and I found an epic stage set, and I thought to myself, look, if I'm going to do a Christmas themed show on December 1st, I want to interview Santa Claus. And so I found this fellow, Jim Clark. He's down in Rhode Island, and he's going to tell us about what he has done as somebody who has been a Santa Claus for 25 years to align himself to one of the most seismic changes to have ever occurred in human history. When we hear from him, he's actually virtualized himself through his backyard in a trailer with some magical technology. And I'm going to share just a short clip. We're going to interview him later on during the show.
Was a man all the neighbors knew as Nick. He heard all their wishes, but no sitting on his lap. The pandemic took that tradition away in a snap. So this holiday season, to his camper he goes, with a classic tagline,
Ho, 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 ho.
He goes by Santa, sometimes by
Jim.
Donning his signature red suit and beard white and trim. For 25 years, he sat at the Warwick Mall. This year, all alone, laptop and all. He visits little boys and girls through Zoom, separated by a screen, but still lighting up the room.
Santa has virtualized. Everybody has virtualized. Look, I am so inspired by the stories, the journeys, the magic that people have pursued as they align themselves to the fact that they're going to be stuck in their basement, they're going to be stuck in their trailers, they're going to be stuck in their home, and somehow they can take their passion, their skills, their insight, their abilities to the world. And that's what I've been focused on here with my virtual projects. If you've been watching me, you know that I've spent a tremendous amount of time on reinvention. So has Santa. Santa Clauses around the world are focused on reinventing themselves for this new, strange pandemic world. And I think we can learn a lot from these inspiring stories. So over the next weeks and months to come, I'm going to take you on a voyage of reinvention and take a look at how people are truly focused on what they can do to align themselves to the future. Let's think about this in the context of innovation, and let's think about this in the fact that, look, Santa Claus virtualizing, he is a master at innovation anyways. Way back in 2006, I wrote a blog post, Why Santa Rocks at Innovation. And I wrote a little bit tongue-in-cheek for a little bit of fun, but I took a good long look at why Santa is truly a master at innovation. And I share this every year in December. A few years after that, I wrapped it up into a nice PDF so it would look a little bit pretty. And every year around early December, I begin to share it. You can access it right now at the website, santa.jimcarroll.com. https://santa.jimcarroll.com will take you to this document. It's a fun little read, and it really provides some good insight on what we can learn from Santa Claus as an innovation hero. And we'll take a look at that, and then we're going to hear from Santa himself. The thing is, media has changed, the web has changed, TikTok has come about, and all kinds of video has come to drive what we're doing on the internet. So over a period of time, what I began to do was I began to share this document by putting together a series of short video clips trying to draw people to the webpage, santa.jimcarroll.com, Let me share a couple of those clips with you right now. So I'm thinking to myself, what can I do this year to utilize my home broadcast studio and share the Santa document with the world? And while I was thinking about that, I went back and I actually found another clip that I put together last year. Again, a short, concise 15-second video clip trying to draw people to that website because that's the nature of the attention span in the world today. But here's my thinking. I've got this absolutely fascinating green screen studio. I got all this technology. I've been broadcasting online for 8 months. I'm learning more and more about what I can do. What can I possibly do with Santa Claus? Well, that's where I thought I'm going to interview the guy himself. I'm going to talk to him because I can't do other things. Look, a lot of folks are gaining attention and attracting visitors on the web by virtue of using TikTok. I tell you, my kids would be absolutely horrified if I went out and tried to use TikTok because they know I can't dance. I looked at that as a path and realized that, look, this is not something that I can do. Instead, I've got to use my capability in terms of innovation, creativity, insight, and the magic that I can do in my broadcast studio here. So the very first thing I did was I went out and got a studio set that was themed around Christmas time. And what I decided to do was to share the insight on why Santa rocks at innovation through this unique green screen format. But in addition, I found Santa Jim Clark out in Rhode Island and arranged to talk to him about what he has done to align to this new and complex future. Because certainly I started seeing, and you're probably seeing, a lot of stories on the news about the fact that Santa Claus can't go to the mall, Santa Claus can't visit with kids, Santa Claus cannot do what he has done in previous years to bring joy to their hearts. We're now in this new, complex, pandemic-oriented world. So in my mind, I'm thinking I've been transforming, I've been focused on transformation, I've been focused on reinventing myself in this unique space. What has Santa Claus done in order to do that? And I managed to find this particular individual through a meeting planner friend of mine who said, my dad is a Santa, you need to talk to him. Let's think first, though, about why Santa rocks at innovation. Go and have a look at this document. It's a fun read, put together in 2006, santa.jimcarroll.com. I went through a list of why Santa is such an innovation hero. Number one, he's future-oriented. Santa follows the trends. Santa knows exactly what is going on. Santa is an actual wizard at operational insights. So much of what is going on in our world today with e-commerce and pick and pack and curbside delivery, organizations have had to align themselves to a new reality to be operationally excellent. This guy has it. He's got a list. He checks it twice. He is so operationally focused with one day in which everything happens. He's truly an innovation hero. He is focused on customer-oriented innovation. He knows exactly what we want. What other retailer, what other hero, what other organization has such a depth of insight into exactly what the customer wants? He is focused on customer service excellence. You think about what he does. He answers every single email personally. He answers every single email personally. So many of us in dealing with organizations are getting emails from bots and emails from individuals on the other side of the world. If we get an email at all, we expect customer service excellence. Santa has it. He defines it. He is an innovation hero. He is a master of complicated logistics. We look at Amazon. We look at UPS. We look at FedEx. This guy is the world's best complex logistics manager in the world. Think about what he does. Same day, one day delivery worldwide in a matter of hours. No other organization can do that. Santa is a master of inspirational leadership. Think about his team. Think about the elves. They wear hats. They sing while they work. They are so inspired by their ability to be part of the Santa organization. They are so inspired by Santa that they sing while they work. He is a master of inspirational leadership. Santa has a focus on diversity. Rudolph, red-nosed reindeer. He's different from everyone else. And Santa's made him a part of his team. He was focused on diversity before it became a critical issue again, sadly, this year, with all of the challenges that we have had. Look, Santa has a focus on work-life balance. He doesn't just take off a couple of days to rest. He takes off entire seasons to focus on what he needs to do to ensure a proper work-life balance. Santa is relentless on brand image. I defy you to find one organization, one brand, who has maintained a consistent viewpoint over centuries of time. He's a master of brand insight. Santa is a master of trends tracking. A hot new toy, Santa knows. He knows what we want. Santa is in tune with the times. He brings us the toys, which are the hottest toys, that are on our list because he knows what's on our list. Integrity is one of his core values. The guy has a naughty or nice list. He judges us on our humanness. He judges us on our kindness. He judges us on our ability to be kind to other people. He knows if we've been naughty or nice. Integrity is a part of his soul. Santa is a wizard at HR management. Look, think about what happens with the elves. They are redeployed in the summertime to be garden gnomes. I defy you to find any individual, any organization who is so good at redeploying critical HR skills during the downtime. Reliability is integral to his mission. We know he's coming to town. We know he's super reliable. I mean, there's even a song about that. People around the world are singing a song about the fact that Santa is going to come to town. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Santa has relentless customer loyalty. Think about what we do. Every single generation tells the next generation that Santa Claus exists. We are such fans. We have such loyalty to who he is and to his brand and to his image that we pass it down from generation to generation. Santa is a wizard at innovation. And then COVID-19 comes along. The pandemic hits. And all of us have had to reinvent for this new and complex world. And Santa, too, has had to reinvent to align to the reality of what is occurring. And I decided I wanted to interview Santa. This was no easy feat. Look, the guy is busy. He's gearing up for the big day in less than 24 days. But I managed to reach out to him at the North Pole. Now, Santa is not a wizard at technology. We had a few technical challenges along the way as he and the elves worked to get the webcam working, as they worked to bring the workshop into the modern age. And the thing is, I couldn't actually interview him live here today. What I actually did was I arranged yesterday to have a Zoom conversation with Santa. And I gotta tell you, I've never had more excitement in my life than when I went into my email, and get this, he showed up 10 minutes early. I got an email that said, Santa has joined your meeting. Imagine a Zoom call like this. I mean, how cool is my job? It can't get better than that. So what I actually did was yesterday, I arranged for a Zoom conversation with Santa, and we had a discussion about what he is doing and how he is aligning himself from his trailer in Rhode Island to take his magic to the world. Now, what's actually happening here is the individual I spoke to is Jim Clark. And we spoke a little bit about what he's doing, how he is working to try to align himself to this unique future, and the lessons that we can learn. If you have some questions, send them in, and we'll see if we can work them into the broadcast.
Was a man all the neighbors knew as Nick. He heard all their wishes, but no sitting on his lap. The pandemic took that tradition away in a snap. So this holiday season, to his camper he goes, with a classic tagline,
Ho, 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 ho.
He goes by Santa, sometimes by
Jim.
donning his signature red suit and beard white and trim. For 25 years, he sat at the Warwick Mall. This year, all alone, laptop and all. He visits little boys and girls through Zoom, separated by a screen, but still lighting up the room.
I mean, How magical is this? All of us have found ourselves in this really unique world this year. All of us have found ourselves in really unique circumstances where we've had to figure out how to bring ourselves to the world in a world which is so different from where we were before. So one of the first questions I asked Santa was, tell me about your career.
So Santa, tell me about your career as a Santa Claus, how long you've been doing it, where you're located, and what led you into this?
Well, my name is Santa Jim Carroll. I am from Warwick, Rhode Island. I've been doing Santa appearances for the past 25 years. Basically have been in malls for 25 years, but I had also been doing Christmas tree farms and corporate parties and house visits during those 25 years.
Whoa, little technical snafu there. So I'm not quite sure what was happening. And again, if you have a couple of questions, I noticed that Santa Jim Clark has actually joined my Facebook broadcast here. And Santa, if you type in a message into the comment section, I might see it show up here and I can actually add it into the broadcast. But again, I interviewed Santa yesterday on Zoom to work it into today's broadcast because look, he's busy. He's getting a lot of bookings from a lot of parents to come in and talk to their kids. And I specifically asked him about that. You've been at this for 25 years. What's been the impact of COVID? Oops.
Okay, and so how long have you actually been going out there as Santa Claus?
For 25 years.
25 years. So what happened with COVID? What ran through your mind when all this started to unfold and you're thinking, many months away, we're going to hit December and this is kind of an interesting world to be in?
Well, with COVID, I realized the dangers of this back in the summer, knowing what happened in the springtime and the summertime was still cases around. And I knew from a medical standpoint that things weren't going to be resolved without a vaccine.
So did you decide right away that you needed to try to go virtual, try to figure out how to do it in this weird...
I was like, okay, I'm going to have to not be able to do Santa this coming year. And then I started hearing from different Santas around the globe about virtual visits using Zoom. And so my daughter and I talked about it. She was a little more in the hands-on with Zoom. She knew exactly how to set up a Zoom system. And so that's where the production of this started to come.
You think about this, when you hear this type of story, I mean, this is indicative of where we've been going in 2020. Here's somebody who's not really in tune with technology. He has a passion for something he's been doing for 25 years. The world has changed. And he's hearing from people, well, we're using this thing called Zoom. I am so inspired by what has happened as people work to get themselves into this space. Look, one of my sons, his girlfriend, her grandfather is in his late 90s. And I tell you, it's absolutely magical to watch Grandpa come into a Zoom call with 30 members of his family and be a participant. He would never have imagined that we would live in such a world with such fascinating technology. I continued to quiz Santa about what was going on with his reaction to COVID.
Come into play.
So had you ever used any technology like this? Had you ever used Zoom? Had you ever done any sort of virtualized thing?
We use Skype when talking with my son and his family who live in Arkansas, and we use Skype. And I heard of other systems too, but Zoom seems to be the one that's working out the best.
Santa's gone to Zoom. Here's the thing, way back in March when this thing began, you had to repurpose your house, you had to set up an office, you had to do things, you had to find some space in which to suddenly begin working at home. Santa too had to reinvent himself. And I found one of the most fascinating things is where he actually set up his virtual studio to provide his services. Give it a listen.
I'm talking a lot about how people are reinventing themselves. Tell me a little bit about your set there. Where are you actually located, and how do you take yourself virtually to the local region and increasingly to the world?
Well, I didn't have a whole lot of space inside the house that we could do this easily in. And we do have a 28-foot camper. We have the camper in the yard. So I thought was okay, we can probably set it up in the camper. A photo studio that I worked with loaned me the backdrop that's in back of me, so they could use it for virtual visits. She wasn't using this backdrop this season. She had others that she planned to use. So she loaned me this, and I set it up on the area on the side of the camper where the slide out is usually is. So I hung up the drape there and mounted that up quite well. So I've got an 8x8 backdrop in back of me.
So you're actually in a camper out in the backyard with a webcam, being virtual Santa, and starting to enter into your real busy season from a camper out in the backyard.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, this is just so cool. He's in a camper in his backyard. The funny thing is, when I interviewed him yesterday, he's down in Rhode Island. I'm in Toronto. And there was a massive weather system coming through Rhode Island. And he commented a couple of times that the trailer was rocking and rolling with the wind. And I could actually see it on the camera with some of the shaking that was going on. So how did he get there? Well, a lot of us had to look for help as we virtualized ourselves. And here's his answer when I gave him the question, how did you get there?
Did you ever think you wouldn't be able to do this? Was the technology too overwhelming, or once you got in the mindset, I've got to reinvent for virtual, then it just became a project that you worked
If I
to
did
master?
not have my daughter have the help in me to put this together, being an older gentleman and not a whole lot of computer technical skills, I would not have been able to put it together. Maybe I could get some information from different guys, and I thought, well, maybe I can do it with Skype or on my iPad. But the more we thought about it and looked at that, well, we felt that we needed to do something a little more that is going to give you a good finished image like we're presenting today.
So a shout out to his daughter, Heather. You know, in a lot of situations, we're having, family members help other family members to get into this online world. We're having people find Facebook groups to help them. In my own case, I'm part of a magical community for the software I'm using called Ecamm, and I can go in there and I can fire in a question. And actually, the cool little backdrop that you see around Santa as I interview him was actually somebody on Ecamm this morning responded to an urgent plea by me that I needed some assistance to make what's called a transparent overlay. And in a matter of moments, Chris Wood over in the UK fixed it up for me. I then asked Santa, how busy are you? You've virtualized, you've reinvented yourself, you've transformed what you can do from your trailer out in the backyard. How's it going?
So are you way busier than you ever thought you'd be at doing this? Is it like
I had no idea what it would happen, Jim.
No idea. And I think none of us did. But I think what happened here is, perhaps Jim followed the same mindset as this Jim. We can go through the 7 stages of COVID grief: shock, anger, denial, bewilderment, or acceptance. And you know that I moved to the acceptance stage really fast. This is going to be with us here for a long time. I'm going to build this virtual broadcast studio where I can have a Christmas set scene or any other type of scene that I want. I'm going to reinvent. I'm going to focus on that reinvention because it's absolutely critical to what I'm doing. So how well is it working? I asked him, how are the kids reacting?
So tell me about the kids. How are they reacting? And I guess it would sort of depend on the age group and stuff.
They're excited. They're excited. Some of the families have taken video of the children while I was doing the session with them, and looking at the looks on their faces was priceless. Their eyes are like jumping out of their head. They're glued right in front of the screen that is being projected on.
You can personalize a little more because a lot of these things are arranged in advance with the parents. Like, you have a good idea of who you're talking to coming up through the next week, with bookings still coming in.
And Santa actually did that. Actually, at the end of the interview, I asked him to film a little custom private clip for a very good friend of mine named Ian Bates for his children, Henry and Lillian. And you know what he actually did? He actually grabbed his little magic marker with a little whiteboard, and he wrote down their details and wrote down what they were interested in. It's fascinating to watch. Here's the other thing, and I should have known this, but he is in touch with hundreds of other Santas around the world. Like everyone else, they have their own online community. And listen to what he had to say as to how that became a catalyst for his reinvention and transformation.
Now you're in touch with a bunch of other Santas on Facebook, correct?
Yes,
And
yes.
so how many of them are going down this path? I mean, is this like everybody is sort of the mindset, or are there some that have done it and some are kind of, I could never master the technology?
Thousands of them are doing it. I also had a friend of mine that he used to be living in Rhode Island, now he's in Connecticut, and he had not put it together. And so he was asking questions. Other Santas and myself were asking other Santas questions. There was a Santa, Ed Taylor, that's out in Oregon. And so he's been feeding information to people, how they can do things, and using a green screen instead of a backdrop drape like I'm using. So you can use a green screen to project images on it as you have in behind you.
Yeah, so there's sort of this massive global collaborative Santa network out there where everybody's focused on reinvention.
A massive global collaborative Santa network. This is 2020. This is what people are doing when they're reinventing themselves. We don't know where to start. We don't know exactly what to do. But we know there's this unique world out there that we can turn to try to get insight into what we can do. Now, I just added a little thing down here in the bottom of the screen. Send in your questions. If you actually type into the comment section of Facebook, if you type in to the comment section of YouTube, it will actually show up here, and I can add that to the broadcast, and I can hopefully address your question.
What's the furthest you've gone with Santa?
Well, I did one this past weekend with the family that the husband's in the military. He was redeployed to, whole family was redeployed to Japan. So we did a virtual visit with the family, with them being in Japan. So there was a 13-hour difference. So they were 13 hours ahead of me. So while I'm talking to them at 8:30 at night, they're at 9:30 in the morning the next day.
Did you ever think you'd be a Santa Claus out to a family in Japan? I mean,
had no idea that would even happen.
Japan. The thing about this virtual world is we can suddenly obviously take ourselves to places that we never imagined. And I think that's part of the transformative mindset, is that our reach, our capabilities, the insight we have, the skills we have, the unique niche that we provide in this world, we're no longer limited to one specific geographic zone. And I know in my old life, I would hop on an airplane and I would fly to a stage somewhere and I would get on stage in front of several thousand people. And now through the magic of this technology, I can be anywhere, anytime, at any particular time of the day. We're all reinventing ourselves. I quizzed him a little bit more about this Japan situation.
Has that changed your thinking now a little? That, if you're still doing this next year, and who knows, we might be, could you see yourself expanding virtually, trying to go, into more regions? I mean, you can be anywhere in the world at this point in time, just like the real Santa.
I could be going to more areas, and I'm imagine that this family in Japan may probably tell other people on base that, we had a visit with Santa from the United States, and that may be something that they may want to do as well. So I may be picking up more visits from families that are abroad like that.
I may be picking up more business from families that are abroad like that. Look, for Jim Clark and for other Santas, this is a fascinating opportunity because, number one, they probably never imagined a year ago this is the situation they would find themselves in. Number two, a year ago, his world was the local mall where he'd been a Santa for 25 years, and suddenly he's being a Santa Claus to a group of kids in Japan on the other side of the world. I think part of what is happening here with this voyage of reinvention is we don't know exactly what it's going to be like as we come out of COVID-19. We don't know exactly what it's going to be like as the pandemic begins to wind down. We don't know exactly what it's going to be like as a vaccine eventually makes its way through its society. And I think a lot of us are wondering, well, what are we going to do on the other side? Not a good phrase. What are we going to do in that new and different world? We've done all these virtual things. It's actually quite a bit of fun, and it seems to be working quite well. I asked Jim about that, and this answer to me was extremely touching.
So the long-term impact of this is you might end up being Santa Claus longer than you ever thought you could be.
I may. My eyesight is beginning to fail due to macular degeneration. So yes, I am looking at that as okay. How many more years am I going to be able to drive?
Right.
And if I can't drive, how can I get from point A to point B to do what I've been doing for years?
Okay.
It became really obvious to me that Jim loves being a Santa. And obviously with age and macular degeneration, the ability to perhaps not drive, the ability not to drive at night, we all want to keep on doing what we're doing. And I think what has happened here is he has discovered a little bit of the magic of virtualization in transformation, that he can keep on doing this from his trailer in the backyard in Rhode Island, US. I then asked him a little bit about what have you done that has really helped people learn as to how they can deal with the reality going forward.
So if you were to give one bit of advice to somebody who's finding that their career or their hobby or their day-to-day activities, are interrupted by COVID and they're kind of terrified of reinventing, what would you suggest to them, given your own voyage?
Jim didn't really have an answer to that one. But I think he did, because he appeared in Rhode Island News last night, and I went and I watched the interview. And this clip to me just said it all. This clip to me said the reality of his existence, and it said to the reality of my existence, and it speaks to the reality of all of us who have a passion, have a purpose, and are figuring out how we can still continue that passion and purpose in this new and complex world. Listen carefully to what he said.
Actually, right now, like with do this virtually, and not be able to do it all, I'd be crushed. This is something, 25 years I've been doing this. I love it. It's just, I can't get enough of it.
25 years he's been doing this, and if he couldn't do this virtual thing, he doesn't know what he could be doing. And that's why, as I worked on this project, I started thinking about this project last Friday, and I started thinking about what's going on out there in the world. And I've been thinking a lot about what I'm witnessing with people. And so I've hit upon a theme. The theme is this: reinventing your reality, stories from the studio on personal growth, opportunities in the future. Because isn't that what's going on here? You're all reinventing. Every single one of us is reinventing. Every single one of us is carving forward a new path in this new and complex world. So I've got a fantastic number of thoughts as to what I'm going to do here. Later this week or early next week, I'm going to interview a rock star on what he has done to align himself to the reality of what is occurring out there. Because obviously, look, TikTok is not going to work for me. I can't become a social media star by going out and doing some sort of foolish dance that is going to gain millions of users. I do think I have an opportunity to share insight on how people are reinventing, how people are transforming, how people are aligning to a new and complex and fascinating world and turning it into an opportunity. If you ever heard me on stage, there's a phrase I always used. Some people see the future and see a threat. Innovators see the same future and see an opportunity. That's the reality. I want to close this little show with a clip I found while researching and preparing for the Santa show. What happens here is Santa Claus is in a parking lot, discovers a mirror, and somehow magic begins to happen. I think what you need to do is you need to look in your own personal mirror and think about your circumstances, and think about what you're doing, and think about what you could be doing, and think about how, with an innovative, creative mindset, you can turn this complex future into a fascinating opportunity. And be innovative like Santa, because as we all know, Santa rocks at innovation. Visit that webpage, santa.jimcarroll.com. I'll put this whole video up here soon. My entire list of why Santa rocks at innovation can be found on the site. You can find a Santa who I just interviewed on Facebook, Santa Jim Clark. Be safe, stay warm, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you again soon. And if I can find my mouse, I would have a end to the broadcast. Well, I'm still here. My mouse cursor has disappeared, and so I can't actually end the show. So we will do it here. Have a good one.